News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
A warning to co-eds to look out for date rape drugs. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning. It's Thursday, February 9th, 2017. What an evening. It snowed most of the day and into the evening, and then it started raining when I was coming to work about 3 o'clock this morning. So right now the roads are extremely slick and icy. There's black ice, snow cover all over western Montana. So wherever you're driving this morning, please use extreme caution because all the roads are snow covered with a coating of black ice. It is 25 degrees in Missoula right now. Newscast this morning, sponsored by Western States Cat. This winter, let Western States Cat get your machines ready to work with experienced techs and field service trucks. The University of Montana put out a warning this week after 2 female students reported situations that may have involved a drug like Rohypnol or ketamine, often referred to as date rape drugs. Communications Director Paula Short explains.
University officials made the decision to send an alert to our campus community, and it was simply to apprise our students of a couple of reports of concerns about tampering with drinks that a couple of our students were concerned about. Actual tampering has not been confirmed, but nonetheless, we felt like it was enough of a concern that we just wanted to raise the situational awareness for our students.
University of Montana Police Chief Marty Ludeman says one of the students went in for drug testing at St. Pat's, but there was no evidence of a drug. Ludeman says these types of drugs are very difficult to detect because they leave the system within just a few hours of consumption. Short said the 2 reports were enough to issue a public warning.
It happened in a relatively short period over the last week to 10 days. Basically, a student became, in the first instance, very ill shortly after consuming a beverage, and other circumstances around that incident led them to raise the specter of the possibility that maybe their drink had been tampered with.
An investigation is still underway. Ludeman said the 2 reports are from different individuals and that they were drinking at 2 different off-campus locations when they became ill. Residents of the Blackfeet Indian Reservation were digging out from under at least 3 feet of snow while also bracing for high winds that will send the powder flying again. The Blackfeet tribe declared a state of emergency Monday. Tribal officials met Tuesday with the talk turning to concerns about winds up to 50 miles per hour to forecast to go Wednesday night into today. The Great Falls Tribune say officials were concerned that residents who got dug out of the snow would get into town for supplies and then be stranded there by whiteout conditions. Freight traffic has resumed through Glacier Park after BNSF Railway completed avalanche mitigation work. The Idaho side of U.S. Highway 12, which snakes through the mountains into Lolo, was shut down last night due to avalanche danger. I'll get to that phone call in just a moment. Due to avalanche danger, Idaho Department of Transportation Communications Officer Reed Hollinshead explains.
Snowpack unstable and volatile. We're just closing it down as a preemptive measure. There have been no slides, but we do this on a lot of our routes. Close them down as a preemptive measure for safety, so nobody gets caught inside that area when an avalanche does come down.
Hollinshead said the closure of Highway 12 could go on for quite some time, especially if the precipitation keeps on coming.
Probably at the very earliest, it would open back up on Saturday, but we're expecting some pretty significant rain over the next few days, and temperatures that are warming up is maybe not so good for the stability of a slide area.
Hollinshead said the Department of Transportation may blast the snowpack to try to trigger an avalanche if conditions worsen, but that would be a last-ditch type effort. Montana officials are seeking to overhaul its public defender system, which has been beset with sinking morale and a growing caseload, putting pressure on what officials acknowledge as an overburdened staff. The state legislature is seeking to intervene with a slate of proposals aimed at restructuring the agency and reducing workloads. Yesterday, a legislative committee approved a plan that would transfer oversight of the public defender's office to the Department of Administration. Puget Sound Energy, part owner of Colstrip Units 1 and 2, entered into a legal settlement last year to shut down the coal-fired generating plants in July of 2022. Yesterday, Montana's Attorney General Tim Fox filed for intervention on behalf of the state to that utility commission.
For the State of Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission, where that commission is going to be holding a hearing and eventually taking evidence on a request from Puget Sound Energy, essentially to escrow money to eventually pay for the costs of closure of Colstrip Units 1 and 2.
He said the Montana legislature is also working to determine the economic impact of the closure of those energy generating units.
That information, when it becomes available, we would intend to make available to the Commission so that they know and understand how expensive this is going to be, particularly to the ratepayers of the state of Washington, who ultimately will pay for the premature closing of Colstrip Units 1 and 2.
Speaking of coal mining in the western U.S. is expected to get a small bump over the next 2 years after falling last year to its lowest level since 1978. The U.S. Energy Information Administration yesterday projected the increase will come in response to rising prices for a competing fuel that would be natural gas. Both fuels are used to generate electricity. Coal's market share dropped sharply in recent years due to low gas prices and pollution regulations. And in a related story, opposition from local landowners and a competing company is slowing down permitting for what would be the first major new coal mine in Wyoming in decades. Lexington, Kentucky-based Ramaco plans to mine up to 8 million tons a year from the Brook Mine north of Sheridan. That's small for a Wyoming coal mine, but a bold move considering U.S. coal production slumped to an almost 40-year low last year. Heavy snow, bitter cold, rapid warming, and rain have led to a mess with Missoula's streets and storm drain. It's going to get even worse now. Director of Communications for the City of Missoula, Ginny Miriam, said the Missoula Street Department was, pardon the pun, flooded with calls on Monday.
When you have weather that brings temperature swings from, darn near zero all the way up into the 40s, you get melting water, and water seeps into the asphalt of streets because it is porous, and then refreezes and breaks the street apart a little bit, and then that happens again, and pretty soon you have a pothole.
Miriam said part 2 of the story is all about the water.
We are just reminding the public that before you go blasting through that standing water on the street, which admittedly can be entertaining, but also can be quite dangerous, and bad for your car if you hit a pothole underneath. There's almost certainly something buried in there that you don't want to hit.
Miriam said the public's welcome to contact the city when they see or drive through a pothole by calling the City Street Division at 552-6360. Just heard from Jim Howard, the superintendent of Bonner School. And because of the black ice, they're delaying school by 2 hours. Again, that's at Bonner School. Thanks, Jim, for that call. News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Slushy roads this morning with areas of rain and snow becoming all rain by the afternoon as our temperatures warm into the mid-40s. Tonight, rain with our overnight lows in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.